There's this big mistake that I see first-time homebuyers making, and I don't want you to start the home buying process thinking it's just about getting a pre-approval and picking a house, because there are way more steps involved, and skipping even one can really cost you. So what's the full step-by-step process of buying a home, and what should you expect at each stage? Let's walk through exactly what happens from pre-approval to closing, what's on you as the buyer, and what your lender and agent should be handling, so you avoid the mistakes and actually get your keys without being all stressed out. Let's get right into it. All right, so first we're gonna get into what the normal process looks like, meaning what you should do first and what should happen after that. So this should go without saying, but the first thing you should do, unless you're paying cash to buy a home, is get pre-approved. Now, it doesn't have to be with me, although it should be. You need to make sure you get pre-approved with a lender, not pre-qualified. Let me explain the difference real quick. Pre-qualified means you speak to a bank or a lender, you tell them how much money you make, how much money you have, what you do for a living. They probably do a soft credit check. I do not recommend those, but let's say they do. And then they tell you what you qualify for. They don't collect any documents. A pre-approval, on the other hand, is a little bit different. You have that same conversation with the lender or the bank, but you provide documents to support the information you gave them. If you tell them you make $100,000 a year, you provided tax returns if you're self-employed, a W-2 and pay stubs if you're not self-employed, I mean you work for a company, to support that income. If you tell them you have $30,000 in the bank, you gave bank statements to show $30,000 or more. You did a traditional credit pull, or you might call it a hard credit pull. I call it a real credit pull, because a soft credit pull you can't do anything with it. Lenders need to do a real credit pull, because part of the pre-approval process should have that lender running your loan through an underwriting software that all banks and lenders in the United States use. And that's going to come back telling them if your loan's approved or not. So it might look good on the surface. The information you gave them, although you're not lying, might have been off from what lenders actually look at and use to qualify you for a mortgage. That's why it's so important to provide the documents, go through the pre-approval process. So step one, get pre-approved. I can't spell. I just do math. I'm not a spelling expert. That's the first thing, get pre-approved. After you get pre-approved, then you want to find a realtor that's going to help you find a home. Now, it's really easy to get maybe a referral from the lender you speak with. So if you like your lender, I know that I have a network of realtors who I have really good relationships with that are reputable. So I have clients who find me through videos like this one or my other social media channels where I get them pre-approved, my team helps get them pre-approved, and they ask us to refer them to a realtor in the area where they're looking to buy. That's a great place to get a realtor from, right? Because you know they're reputable. Now, if the lender you're talking to is maybe not local to where you're buying, or they're just a big bank and they don't have relationships, another great place to find reputable realtors is online. So you go to a website like Zillow, for instance, and you can actually search for realtors in your specific area based on zip code or city, and you can read reviews about those realtors and make your decisions based around that. What's cool about Zillow is that the reviews that are written on their website are not controlled by the realtor, right? They don't own Zillow.com. So what's nice about it is they're real reviews, unless someone went and wrote some fake review about someone, how bad they were or how good they were, but that usually doesn't happen. It's the best place for you to measure what realtor would fit best for you. And then from there, I would probably say take 3 that stand out to you. From there, interview those 3. Figure out who works best for you, because a couple of things you want to ask them. You want to ask, do you do this full time, right? That's a good question. How many buyers do you work with at one time? You want to make sure they're going to have time for you. What's your process look like? What's your availability look like? You're working. I imagined you're working, right? Most likely, if you're going to buy a home. Let's just say you work traditional hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Your availability to go look at homes is somewhat limited. Maybe it's after 5 during the week, maybe on the weekends. So you want to make sure you're working with a realtor, and you pick a realtor who's able to work around your schedule. You're not going to work around their schedule. They get paid to help you, not the other way around. So you want to make sure you're picking a realtor who fits all of your needs. The time at which you're going to be available to look at homes is a big one. Make sure you're working with a realtor who's available for you and does this full time. Because believe it or not, being a real estate agent, realtor, is a part-time job for some people. You want to make sure you're working with a full-time agent. So that's a big thing. So I'm going to say, pick a realtor. Step 2. Now, once you pick a realtor and you're pre-approved, now you can start looking for homes. So when you have that conversation with the realtor that you selected, they should be asking you questions. Those questions, for one, should be, are you pre-approved? right? Being pre-approved is important because they need to know what price range they should be looking at for you. So let's just say you're pre-approved for $500,000. You want to make sure you convey that to the realtor. And then from there, they were going to want to know where you want to be as far as where the home's going to be located and what's most important to you as a home buyer. Maybe you have a list of 5 or 6 things that are important to you. Bedroom count, bathroom count, you want a pool, you want a newer roof, you want a home that's modern, you want it in a specific school zone, right? You want to make that list. And then what you want to do is you probably want to narrow it down to your top 3 out of that list, meaning those are the 3 things that those boxes need to be checked for it to be the right home for you. The other 3, or however many more there might be, would be great if they are checked, but they're not requirements for you to make a move on the property. Just for instance, you're going to share this information with the realtor that you picked, and now you're going to start looking at homes. But it's probably going to start with what's called a save search. So a save search is a way for you to look at homes online based on the criteria that you provided to your agent, right? So you told them those things that I mentioned to you. They're going to set you up on a search through the MLS, which is the database that they use to find homes that consumers like yourself don't have access to. That's a huge benefit of working with a professional realtor. And they're going to set that up and you're going to start getting emails of these homes. So this I'm going to put here is digital. And then what you're going to use that for is to narrow down the homes you want to physically go look at. Because you don't want to go out looking at 50 houses. Who wants to do that? I mean, maybe it's fun to some people, but I wouldn't want to do that, right? It's not what you want to do with your days. You want to look at the homes that you're going to be most interested in. So what we're going to do is take the homes that you're getting through that save search and you're going to narrow that down. And you're going to let your agent know which ones you want to go see in person, which is the next thing, right? You want to go in-person home search. So you did your save search, which is digital. And now you went and looked at homes in person and you found a home that you love. Ideally, right? That's the whole purpose of going out and looking at homes. You took all the steps necessary to buy one. So now you went and you found the house. So I'm going to put here, you find the home. Well, what happens after you find the home? It's not like you just go in there like, all right, I have my pre-approval letter. I'm buying this house. No, you have to prepare an offer with your realtor. That's something that your realtor does. And that's another benefit of having one, because if you're a first-time buyer, even if you bought another home, how often do you fill out real estate contracts? Like never? You want someone who does that for a living. That's why it's important that you're working with a full-time realtor. They're going to do that for you. And they're going to prepare that contract to submit the offer. And that's whatever you decide with them. And collectively, it should be with your lender as well, because you can come up with a strategy that fits your needs. But you're going to want to prepare that offer, and then you're going to submit that to the selling side. And the seller is going to have a realtor in most cases as well. They're called the listing agent. So you're going to prepare the offer and submit the offer. Now, like I said, you work collectively with your realtor to do that, but they're the ones who are actually submitting it on your behalf. And they send an email with it attached in order to get the offer. And if they should have a conversation with the listing agent beforehand to let them know it's coming over and a few details of that. But you want to make that offer as attractive as possible to the seller of the property. Put yourself in the seller's shoes, right? The more contingencies or things that are essentially obstacles that you have to get through to close on the property, the less attractive that offer is, right? So keep that in mind. You want to make it sweet. And that's why it's important to work closely with your lender as well, because part of the contingencies in a real estate contract, one of those obstacles would be the finance period. The shorter you can make that finance period, which is the amount of time you have to get a full loan approval, which is the next step after pre-approval, right? Once you're under contract, the shorter you make that, the more attractive it is to a seller, because it's one less thing that can go wrong, causing the contract to fall apart. But you submitted your offer, and what will probably happen is there might be some back and forth negotiation. It's very rare that you submit an offer and the seller of the property just accepts the offer. It's great if it happens, but it's just rare for it to happen. So what you want to do is you're going to go back and forth and come to terms with that seller. So I'm going to come up here now, and I'm going to put agree on terms with seller. You and the seller came to terms on the purchase price, on a closing date, on the finance contingency, on the inspection period, right? All those things. So now this is the same as being under contract. So now that you're under contract, your loan, right? That's where the lender steps back in, needs to go through underwriting. So you got pre-approved, you got all those documents, right? That's why you got pre-approved, because it made sure that you were solid and ready to go. So now that you're under contract, the loan goes to underwriting. This is the process where the underwriter, who's the person who makes the final decision on issuing and approving the loan, reviews everything that you provided to the lender up front. Now, the lender should have done a thorough job up front, where when it goes to underwriting, it's pretty much smooth sailing, but there's always going to be something that an underwriter asks for. Always. It's very, very rare if ever, that they don't ask for anything. Maybe they want an updated pay stub or an updated bank statement, or they want an explanation of what this single deposit on your bank statement might be, or what this inquiry on your credit report might have been, right? Those are common things that come up. So just expect that when you're going through the process, right? That's the underwriting process. After the underwriting process, the underwriter is going to issue full loan approval, which is the same as a CTC. CTC stands for clear to close. Borrowers should love that. Realtors really love that because that means you're good to close on the property. So clear to close is issued, you close, and you get the keys. So this is the process in a nutshell, from pre-approval to getting the keys. But who's responsible for what in the process? That's important, right? So let's go through that briefly. Getting pre-approved, it's you and the lender. Picking a realtor, that's you. You're responsible for that. Setting up a save search, that's the realtor. Taking out for in-person search, that's your realtor. Finding the home, that's gonna be your realtor plus you, because you're gonna pick the home. They're not gonna pick the home for you. Preparing your offer, that's the realtor. Submitting your offer, that's the realtor. Agreeing on terms with the seller. This is gonna be the seller, obviously. They have to agree to the terms. You and the realtor. The loan goes to underwriting, the lender. Full loan approval, CTC, the lender. Closing, the title company. Get your keys, you. Celebrate, all of us. So it's really important that you understand this process so there are no surprises. Now, every lender, every realtor is going to work a little bit differently, but this is the overview of what it should be like every single time. The same steps should be followed. And if you have questions about your scenario, or you're trying to figure out what the process should be and you're just getting started, or maybe you're in the process and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't the process that I'm following right now with my realtor or my lender, comment below and make sure to follow my channel for more videos like this. But your comment will drive me to have my team reach out to you and provide any guidance you need to make the right decisions on your home buying journey.